Welcome to episode 85 of Driver to Plug Radio. As always, I'm your host, David G. Firestone. This week, I got a lot of stuff going on, and that prevents me from doing a current events episode. So I'm going to do this segment and the baseball rant for this week. I have to do this in advance because I got a lot of things I got to focus on. And before we get there, I've done this in the past. I'm going to do this again. This is the third installment of 10 foods named after people. I'm probably going to butcher a few pronunciations, so please don't crucify me if I do. Number 10, Crab Louis. Crab Louis or Crab Louis has a number of different origin stories. One such example is French King Louis XIV because of his notorious fondness for food. Another is Louis Davenport, founder of the Davenport Hotel in Spokane, Washington. And a third claim is that Victor Hertzler, a renowned French chef, created the dish. Number 9, Celery Victor. Celery Victor was invented in 1910 by the previously named Victor Hertzler, and it's a dish made from celery hearts that are often in a citrus or vinegar marinade. These are simmered in a veal, chicken, or beef stock, chilled, tossed with mild peppers, and sometimes served over lettuce. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Chicken Mantoine. Chicken Mantoine is a chicken dish made with lemon and toast, and it's named for Louis XIV's mistress, Madame de Mantoine. Number 7, Pizza Margherita. This is a dish so iconic. Pizza Margherita has many different people who have claimed to have invented it, and we do know for a fact that it consists of the colors of the Italian flag and is presented to Queen Margherita of Savoy on a trip to Naples around 1899. Number 6, Marie biscuits. Marie biscuits are a type of biscuit similar to a rich tea biscuit, and they were created by the London bakery Peak Friens in 1874 to commemorate the marriage of Grand Duchess Maria Alexandrovna of Russia to the Duke of Edinburgh. Number 5, Bloody Mary. A staple vodka drink, Bloody Mary takes its name from Queen Mary I of England, the only child of Henry VIII by his first wife Catherine of Aragon to survive to adulthood, and who was known as Bloody Mary. Macintosh apples. Apple took the Mac name after Macintosh apples. Macintosh apples are named after John Macintosh, an American-Canadian farmer who discovered the variety in Ontario, Canada, where it's said that this took place in either 1696 or 1811, which is kind of a major discrepancy. Number 3, Melba toast. Melba toast is named after Dame Nellie Melba. Melba, real name Helen Porter Mitchell, was an Australian soprano and took her stage name from her hometown of Melbourne. In 1892 or 1893, while living at the Savoy Hotel in London, she suffered an illness and favored some extremely dry toast, which was eventually named for her. Chef Auguste Escoffier, who created Melba toast, also created peach Melba and Melba ganache in her honor. Number 2, Mornay sauce. Mornay sauce is a popular cheese variation of bechamel sauce, which is a staple of hot brown sandwiches and has two different origin stories. One is that Philippe de Mornay, a member of Henry VI court, is often cited with the name source. French cook Joseph Warwan is also claimed to have invented it and named it after his oldest son and one of his cooks, Mornay. And number 1, nachos. This is a perfect one for NASCAR as well as a stadium favorite. Nachos were invented in 1943 by Ignacio Nacho Anaya while working at the Victory Club restaurant in Piedras Negras, Coachella, Mexico in 1943 when a regular customer asked for a different snack. He found fresh tortillas, cheese, and jalapeno peppers and created the snack which he called Nachos Special. And that about does it for 10 foods named after people. For the next and final segment, I get to that baseball deep dive. Welcome back. Do you remember the Lake County Fielders? Of course not. Nobody does. The story sounds almost too good to be true. They were founded by a movie star and went on to have such a disastrous existence that it's almost shocking that more people aren't talking about them. Why? Well, let's look into their history. The Lake County Fielders were founded by Grand Slam Sports Entertainment LLC based in Deerfield, Illinois, which was primarily owned by Richard E.H.R.E. and Ennerreich, with Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, and For the Love of the Game star Kevin Costner as a minority owner. The team itself was founded in 2009, and the Fielders' name and logo were sourced by a contest which included such original ideas as, quote, Cowpokes, Luckies, Comets, and Skippers, which are typical minor league names. On May 27, 2009, at Key Lime Cove, now Great Wolf Lodge in Gurney Mills, the name and logos were unveiled. Now, initially, the Fielders were part of the Northern League in 1910. This was somewhat prophetic as the Northern League was a spent force by that point and in its final season. At the end of the 2010 season, the Northern League would merge with two other independent leagues, the United League of Baseball of Texas and the Golden Baseball League. This union would last long, folding after 2 seasons, specifically at the end of the 2012 season, and their unstable independent leagues would only be the start of the Fielders' problems. The Lake County Fielders did play baseball, and they weren't too bad. Now, granted, in 2010 they went 41-59 and finished 7 out of 8 teams. In 2011 they went 27-35 and actually finished 4th out of 10 teams in the league. Now, fans were initially excited and attended in droves, but this excitement didn't last long at all, with fan attendance downing significantly. This, in turn, led to a decrease of funds that the team had access to. By the end of the 2011 season, these issues had fully reared their head, with the team unable to play players, announcers. The announcers actually quit on air, or pretty much anyone or anything. Players quit, the announce team quit on air, and by the end of the 2011 season, the team was no more. So what happened? How could a team founded by Kevin Costner, and was set to have a great existence and a brand new stadium, fail so quickly? Well, the stadium was a huge part of their failure, or rather, a lack thereof. For context, the Lake County Fielders were playing in Zion. Their team offices were based in Gurney Mills, which is a mall in Schaumburg, which was a storefront office. And I remember this because even within the mall, they had a really bad location. I think it used to be a knife store, but that was a solid location compared to their ballpark. Now, in order to understand how much of a shit show the Lake County Fielders were, the story of their ballpark needs to be discussed. Named Fielder Stadium, it was meant to be an 8,000-seat park and located on Green Bay Road and 9th Street in Zion. The official groundbreaking ceremony was held on November 5, 2009, and took place at a warehouse adjacent to the ballpark's planned site, already a bad omen. In April 2010, the site was moved to Illinois State 173 in Green Bay Road because Zion couldn't purchase the land in question. With nowhere else to turn, the Zion-based Fielders had to play their 2010 games at Carthage College in Kenosha, Wisconsin. How could something like this happen? Well, now we introduce 2 major players in this story: Delaney Rogers, Zion's former Director of Economic Development, and Rick Delisle, owner of the land where the stadium is located. Now, while Richard Ehrenreich is not free of guilt here, given everything that happened, Rogers and Delisle are the true villains here. It seemed to be a partnership that was best for business on the surface, with these 2 individuals wanting to do what's best for Zion and their citizens, but beneath the surface there were many issues. A lot of what you're about to hear is from a 2011 Chicago Sun-Times article on the whole debacle, and the link is in the description. This is an exact quote. The thing about dreams is that they only seem real, then you wake up. For Ehrenreich, the Fielders' proposed stadium was never the field of dreams that Rogers often called it. It was business. He wanted to run a ballpark to make money. The reality, he says, was simple: no stadium, no profit. And for the city Ehrenreich decided no sign of a stadium, no rent. He told Zion leaders in emails that until the city secured financing and made progress on a stadium, they wouldn't get another cent. This is where the Field of Dreams went wrong for the team and the town. Now, the original plan for Fielder Stadium was budgeted at $17.6 million. $10 million of that was from a grant that Zion had hoped to receive from the state of Illinois. Unfortunately, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity denied the $10 million grant request, leaving the project square one. With few options, the Zion City Council unanimously approved a 25-year lease on the second stadium location and an operating agreement with the Fielders. Now, this lease required the city to pay $100,000 a year in rent and pick up a $200,000, give or take, yearly property tax bill. Running the numbers, this adds up to about $7.5 million over the course of the lease. As part of this deal, it was stated that if Zion didn't build the stadium within 3 years, it could stop paying rent but remain solely responsible for the property taxes. Interestingly, a note here states that Scott Puma, the Zion city attorney, said the terms of both contracts were negotiated by city officials without even consulting him. Not a good move. And this is also from the same Sun-Times article, but I've cleared this next part up for clarity. So, Zion borrowed about $1.8 million from its own water fund to pay for stadium work done in 2010 and build a smaller stadium with a $5 million price tag. So the city voted to borrow $7.5 million and then repay the water fund. But with the 2011 season fast approaching, the city didn't borrow the cash, and not even a temporary stadium was ready for opening day. There was a stadium built, but it's in such bad condition you really couldn't play there. There were other problems too. The second site had a very heavy debt and tax burden that put a financial strain on Green Bay Crossing. In December 2010, Delisle's company increased both the length and the amount of its mortgage with Johnson Bank from $6.5 million to more than $7 million, according to mortgage reports. That loan made it possible to stay current on the site's mortgage payment, Delisle said. Now, if all of the above is true, why in the world would Zion work with Delisle as a landowner? Well, as it turns out, Delisle and Delaney Rogers' relationship was a bit more than just a business one. By the time the stadium deal was being discussed, Rogers and Delisle had been in a personal relationship for some time. This was found out because the Sun-Times article pointed out that Rogers would send Delisle personal and intimate emails from her official Zion City account. This is a line from one such email, which was written by Rogers to Delisle on April 3rd, 2007. I'm warning you right now, cringe alert. This is an exact quote. You spent the last 13 days basking in the sun, ... I've had the torture of not being able to think of anything but what it would be like to taste the salt water on your skin. Ugh. Not long thereafter, Delisle warned Rogers to show some discipline, and Rogers responded on April 5th, 2007 with a poem that ended with this line. Again, cringe alert. Quote, I'm trying to be patient with this new discipline and stuff, but it seems a lifetime since I kissed you. Never enough. It should be noted, at the time of these emails, Delaney Rogers had been married for 26 years and had 3 children, yet she's writing emails to her lover that would make a 13-year-old girl writing to her boyfriend cringe in retrospect. So, what happened? In the end, it was all for naught. The stadium was never fully built, and it's now basically just an uninhabitable dump. The Fielders were never anything but a laughingstock, and you can't even find real memorabilia from them on eBay. They're just a distant memory now, and a cautionary tale about minor league baseball and spending. Now, hypothetically, let's just say through some miracle, Fielder Stadium was fully built and opened. Would the Fielders have survived? Probably not. Yes, Kevin Costner was a minority owner, but the fact that he wasn't really visible or involved with the team outside of a few appearances really speaks volumes. Adding to this is that the Fields didn't really have an MLB affiliate, which brings a lack of resources. These resources include players, money, coaches, and, well, pretty much everything you would need to run a minor league team. Looking at everything, this was doomed to fail no matter what. Even if it worked out perfectly, it was still going to fail, and I don't think we can argue that it worked perfectly. And it's not like Chicago and the Chicago area needs another minor league team. We have plenty of them, and, well, they are what they are. And with that, episode 85 comes to an end. Normal content will resume next week. I'm Dave Farsley. If you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you then.